Imagine losing everything you saved for 60 years in a single afternoon. Not to a disaster, not to bad luck, but to a stranger's voice on the phone, calm and polite, walking you step by step into ruin. Now imagine that the quiet, gentle man renting your barn to keep his beehives is about to become the most dangerous person those criminals have ever met. This is the story of the Beekeeper, and welcome to Mr. A Stories, where every recap comes with a twist you will not see coming. Our story begins in a peaceful countryside home. Eloise Parker, a retired schoolteacher, lives alone in a big, quiet house. Her only company these days is Adam Clay, a soft-spoken man who rents her barns so he can tend to his beehives. Eloise treats him almost like family. She bakes for him. She checks on him. In return, Adam fixes things around her property and never asks for much. Their bond feels simple and warm, the kind of friendship built on small daily kindnesses rather than big words. But peace never lasts long in stories like this one. One afternoon, Eloise sits down at her computer and a pop-up warns her that her files have been compromised and that she needs to call a support number immediately. It looks official. It sounds urgent. Trusting and unaware, she calls the number, and on the other end is a scammer working out of a fake tech support call center. He guides her, step by patient step, into giving him remote access to her computer. Then he convinces her to log into her bank accounts so he can supposedly help her secure them. What Eloise does not know is that this call center is not some small-time operation. It is a highly organized criminal enterprise laundering stolen money through a legitimate-looking tech company called Nectar. Within minutes, every account Eloise owns is drained. Her retirement savings, her charity funds, all of it, gone. The scammer thanks her for her cooperation and hangs up, already dialing his next victim. Eloise sits in stunned silence, staring at zeros where her life savings used to be. The shame and horror of what just happened crushes her. She feels violated, foolish, and utterly alone. In her grief, she writes a note, and in a devastating moment, she takes her own life. When Adam finds her, something in him goes cold and still, like the calm before a storm most people never see coming. Grief-stricken and enraged, Adam does something Eloise's family never expected. He does not call the police. Instead, he makes a call of his own, one that reveals he is not simply a retired man with a hobby. He is a former member of a secretive, off-the-books organization known only as the Beekeepers. This organization operates completely outside government law enforcement, answering to no one, existing purely to protect what they call the hive, meaning society itself, from threats that ordinary law cannot reach. When someone crosses certain lines, when they poison the hive, the beekeepers step in to eliminate the threat, quietly and permanently. Adam requests one thing from his old handler before disappearing back into the world: a warning phone call to whoever runs the scam operation that killed Eloise, giving them one chance to return the stolen money and shut down peacefully. It is the last mercy he intends to offer. The call goes to a young, arrogant executive named Garnet, who manages the call center under the umbrella of Nectar. Garnet laughs off the warning, seeing it as an empty threat from some old-timer. That laugh is the last mistake he ever makes. Adam Clay drives straight to the call center, walks in like he owns the place, and within minutes the entire building is reduced to wreckage, security guards included. He finds the stolen data, secures the funds where he can, and burns the operation to the ground both literally and financially. To Adam, this is not rage without reason. It is justice with precision, the exact kind of surgical retribution his old organization trained him for. Meanwhile, Eloise's daughter, Verona Parker, is introduced as an FBI agent investigating her own mother's death. Verona is sharp, professional, and desperate for answers, unaware that the man responsible for turning a call center into rubble is the same quiet beekeeper her mother trusted. As she digs deeper into the case, she starts uncovering the same web Adam is already tearing apart, just from a legal angle instead of a lethal one. As Adam pulls on the threads of the scam operation, he discovers it goes much higher than one greedy manager. The call center answers to a man named Mickey Kimmel, who in turn answers to Derek Danforth, a spoiled, cocaine-fueled tech executive who runs Nectar as a front for a nationwide scam network. And here is the gut punch of the story. Derek Danforth is the son of the President of the United States. This is not just corporate greed. It is corruption wrapped in political power, hidden behind Silicon Valley branding and family connections that make it nearly untouchable through normal channels. Take a moment and think about that. The people robbing lonely, trusting citizens like Eloise are being protected by proximity to the highest office in the country. That is exactly the kind of rot the beekeepers were created to burn out, because some crimes hide so well behind money and power that ordinary justice simply cannot reach them. If this kind of story where one broken man against a corrupt system keeps you hooked, make sure you are subscribed to Mr. A Stories, because this recap is about to get a lot more intense. Derek panics once he realizes someone is dismantling his empire piece by piece, and he calls in private security contractors, essentially a private army, to hunt down and kill whoever is responsible. Adam Clay walks through these mercenaries the way a real beekeeper walks through smoke, calm, methodical, and completely unafraid, taking them apart one team at a time. Every fight scene is not about flashy heroics. It is about a man who has clearly done this before, someone who was trained to be invisible until the moment he needed to be devastating. Verona's investigation eventually crosses paths with Adam's trail of destruction. She begins piecing together that this mysterious man dismantling criminal networks is connected to her mother somehow, and that connection pulls her further into a conspiracy larger than she ever imagined, one that reaches the White House itself. Derek's mother, President Jessica Danforth, becomes entangled in the story as well. She is portrayed less as a villain and more as a mother desperately trying to protect her reckless, dangerous son from the consequences of his own greed, even as the body count around him rises. It creates a painful moral tangle, a leader of the free world quietly using her influence to shield family loyalty over justice, all while a grieving old woman's death set off the chain reaction exposing everything. As Adam gets closer to Derek, the Beekeeper organization itself becomes uneasy. His former handler warns him that this mission has grown too big, too political, too dangerous, even for someone like him. But Adam refuses to stop. This is no longer just about following the rules of his old order. This is personal. Eloise showed him kindness when the world had given him none, and he intends to make sure her death means something. In the story's most explosive stretch, Adam infiltrates increasingly secure locations, surviving ambushes that would have ended anyone else, all while Verona races to expose the truth through legal channels before the whole conspiracy gets buried by people with the power to make it disappear. Eventually, the two storylines collide. Adam Clay, the silent avenger, and Verona Parker, the determined federal agent, both closing in on Derek Danforth from different directions, one through violence and precision, the other through evidence and law. The final confrontation is not just physical, it is a reckoning. Every lie, every scam, every family destroyed by that call center comes crashing down on the people who thought their money and power made them untouchable. Adam Clay proves, in the most brutal way possible, that no title, no last name, and no amount of political protection can shield you from consequences when you poison the hive. Without spoiling the exact final moments for those who still want to watch it play out on screen, the story closes with a message that stays with you. Adam Clay disappears back into the shadows, just another quiet man tending his bees, ready to vanish into the next life he needs to save. Because the beekeepers do not seek glory. They do not want recognition. They exist simply to protect what most people never even realize needs protecting, until it is already gone. The Beekeeper is more than an action movie. It is a story about grief transformed into purpose, about the quiet people in our lives who might be carrying far more strength and history than we ever imagine, and about a haunting truth, that sometimes the most dangerous person in the room is the one everyone else overlooked. So let me ask you this. If someone you loved was destroyed by cruelty and corruption, and you had the power to make it right outside the law, would you take that power, or would you trust the system to do it for you? Tell me in the comments below, and if this recap kept you hooked from the first scam call to the very last confrontation, hit that subscribe button and join the Mr. A Stories family, because we have a lot more stories like this one coming your way.